Okay, this is going to be the Advanced Math review for Chapter 1. This is a new review for 2014-15 school year. You should have a copy of this review. There's going to be a couple of changes on a couple of the problems, so please make adjustments to your review packet. Okay. The first question is a domain range increasing, decreasing, constant question. Okay, what you want to do is first make sure you label all your points. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to label this arrow. Because it's going to the right side, that's going to be positive infinity. Since it's going down, it's going to be negative. This point here is 3, negative 2. This point is 1, negative 2. All right, this point is negative 4, 3. Okay, this is going to help me come up with my problems. Okay, so to do the domain, what I'm looking at is what is the smallest of all these x values. And the smallest x value of all these is negative 4. What's the biggest one? Biggest one is infinity. Okay. That's the biggest and that's the smallest. So when you do domain and range, that's what you have to do, small and big. Okay. Now since that's an open circle, it's going to be an open circle there. My range, what's my smallest y value? Smallest y value is negative infinity. Make sure you use y for range. What's my biggest one? My biggest one is 3. Once again, because it's an open circle, all right, that's what I'm going to have to do. For increasing, decreasing, and constant, all we care about is the x's. Okay, we don't care about the y's. All right, so the x's are the key thing here. Okay, all right, I start left to right. This is decreasing, so it's negative 4 to 1. Then from 1 to 3, it's constant. Okay, and then from 3 to infinity, it's decreasing again. Okay, so that's that answer. Okay, determine that. It says determine the left and right behaviors. Now, what you're looking for here is the biggest exponent term, which in my case, in this one, is going to be x cubed. Okay. Now, even if there was a number in front of there, all you're going to graph is the positive and negative, or the positive or negative version. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my calculator menu. I'm going to go to graph, and I'm going to type in x cubed. Draw it. Okay, and I got that. So what my picture, and I'm going to set my window. If you want to do that, that's F3, F3, exit, draw. Okay, so here's what I got. I've got a picture that looks like this. So this arrow would be negative infinity because it's on the left, and it's going down, so it's also negative. This arrow is going right, so it's positive infinity and positive infinity because it's going up. So as x approaches infinity, the result is positive. As x approaches negative infinity, the result is negative. Okay? And this one, my biggest exponent term happens to be this. Now, all I'm going to graph is negative x to the 4th. Okay, you don't have to worry about graphing the 3. As long as you have the negative or positive, you're good to go. All right? So when I graph that, I'm going to go negative x to the 4th, and I'm going to draw it. It's going like this. Okay? So my picture's like this. All right, so that's negative infinity because it's a left and it's going down. This is positive infinity because it's the right, and it's negative because it's also going down. So as x approaches infinity, that's going to be negative. As x approaches negative infinity, that is also negative. Okay? So for those, all you have to graph is just whether it's positive or negative in that exponent. Okay? All right? We're going to find all this stuff given the graph. Now, what I would do is go ahead and go ahead and graphing this. So I'm going to go back. All right? I'm going to type in x plus 2. Okay? All right, squared minus 4, all right, and draw. Okay, and I got this. Now, what I'm going to do is even though I'm not going to go in complete order here, I'm going to find some of these points. For instance, since it goes like this, I'm only going to have a minimum. So I'm going G solve min. I've got negative 2, negative 4. Okay, so negative 2, negative 4. I'm also going to graph that, negative 2, negative 4. Okay, I have none. I do not have a max. Okay, now to find these intercepts. X-intercept, what you use for that is root. Okay? So I'm going to do G-solve, which is right here, root. And that's negative 4, 0. To get the other one, I hit the over button, which is 0, 0. So I've got negative 4, 0 and 0, 0. So I'm going to go ahead and graph those points. Negative 4 zeros here, 0 zeros here. Okay? All right? All right, so then what's left? G-solve Y-intercept is also 0, 0. Okay? All right. Now, that's already been plotted, so I'm going to go ahead and make my graph. okay? This would be negative infinity, positive, because it goes up. This would be positive, positive, okay? So as I do this, and also this point right here is -2, -4, okay? So what's the smallest x value? Smallest x value is negative infinity. Biggest x value is positive infinity, okay? The range, smallest y value is -4. Since that has a dot underneath it, I'm going to put a little line. My biggest one is infinity, okay? Start on the far left, that's decrease. So negative infinity to -2. This is going to be increase, -2 to positive infinity, okay? All right, you don't have to worry about the intercepts with the domain and range. The key thing is the minimum and maximum will help determine that, okay? All right, that's that. Okay, here's another graph, okay? Once again, I'm going to go ahead and graph this first to help me find some of this stuff. So I'm going to go in, and I'm going to type in -2x to the 4th plus 2x squared. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and draw this, okay? All right, I'm going to do G-solve. All right, I think these are going to be maxes, so I'm going to hit max. All right, I've got -0.7 comma 0.5, okay? And if I hit the over button, I've got 2 of them. So if you can see that. So always test to see if you got multiple ones. So you got -0.7 comma 0.5. Okay, those are maxes, so -0.7 comma 0.5 and also 0.7, 0.5. So I'm going to go ahead and graph that. So that's going to be -0.7 about a half up, 0.7 a half up. Okay? What else am I going to graph? I'm going to do G-solve, minimums. I got 0, 0 as a minimum. Let's see if I have any others. Nope. So always go back and forth and check to see. So my minimum there is going to be 0, 0, which would be right here. Okay? Let's go ahead and find the X and Y-intercepts. All right, G-solve, root. I've got -1, 0, 0, 0, and 1, 0. Okay? So just always keep checking as many as I can. All right, I'm going to check again. All right, good. So -1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and plot those points. Okay? All right, let's go ahead and do the Y-intercept. Okay? G-solve Y-intercept, once again, is 0, 0. Okay, already been plotted for me. So basically what this is going to look like is it's going to look like this. Okay? This would be negative infinity, negative infinity. That's going to be positive infinity, negative infinity. Okay? All right? So, this, I'm going to do the increasing, decreasing. So from negative infinity to that first maximum, right, that's going to be increasing. So negative infinity to -0.7 is going to be that first one. Then from -0.7 to 0 would be a decrease. Then from 0 to 0.7 would be an increase. And then from 0.7 to positive infinity would be a decrease. Okay? Once again, to get these, you need to use these, okay, in order to get there, okay? All right, the next part of this, all right, we're going to find all the real zeros, okay? All right, now, what we're going to do here, let's go into menu. All right, where we're going to go is we're going to go into equa, okay? Now, you're going to select polynomial, okay? Now, my calculator only has 3 degrees. You can choose as many ones. So since it's degree 3, I'm going to choose 3. Now, what you have to do here, and this is the important part, is that it's going to be x cubed, x squared, x number. So you always work it sequentially down. So that's 4, that's -20, that's 13, that's 12. All right, we're going to get into a second what happens when you don't have one. Okay? But I'm going to type those in going across. 4, -20, 13, 12. Solve. Now, if my number is an integer, so it's x equals 4, if I go down here, on your calculator it's nice because it will turn into a fraction, okay? All right, yours turns into fractions, okay? If you hit the F to D button, okay? So if you hit that, all right, sometimes it will do it, sometimes it won't, okay? All right, so you just got to be careful on that. All right, your calculator is a little bit better. All right, so what mine are going to be is x equals 4, x equals 3/2. Okay, the other one? X equals -1/2. Okay? All right, that's good. Now, for this next one, all right, I'm going to use the Casio that normally you guys use. Okay, it looks like this. So you're going to go into the same area. You're going to go into equa. But when you select polynomial, you're going to select degree 4. Now, since you have x to the 4th, x cubed, x squared, x, and my number. Now, the problem is x to the 4th would be 1. There is no x cubed, so I would put 0. -23, there is no x term, so that's what I'm going to do for that, okay? All right, that's how you're going to type that in. All right, and if you do that, that's 1, 0, -23. All right, here are the solutions, okay? You get 4 as a solution and -4, and then you've got some decimals that don't turn into fractions. Now, if that's the case, what we have to do is we're going to use synthetic division, okay? We're going to use synthetic division. What we do is we start out with a +0, okay? That's 1. I take that, I multiply by this number. It's going to be 4, okay? Take that, multiply that number. It's going to be 16, okay? That's going to be -7. Whoops, I left out the 0 here. Hold on. That'd be -28. That'd be -28. That'd be -112. That would be 0. Now, what happens there is this all drops down a level. So instead of starting out x to the 4th, this is x cubed now, okay? This is x squared, this is x, this is my number. Now, I'm going to do synthetic division. Let me erase this real quick. I'm going to do synthetic division again, this time using my other number. So once again, I'm going to start with the +0. Okay, that's going to be 1. Okay, that's going to be -4. All right, that's going to be +16. Okay, made a mistake here somewhere. Hold on one second. Let me give myself a little bit more room here. Okay. -28. Okay, that should be right. All right, so I got 1. 1 times that would be -4. That would be 0. 0 times that would be 0. That would be -7. -7 times that would be +28. That would be 0. Now, here's what happens. Is that no longer is x cubed, that's x squared, x, and my number. So what I have here is x squared -7 equals 0. And if I solve that, I got x squared equals 7, square root, plus and minus, okay? So my answers out of this are x equals 4, x equals -4, x equals plus or minus square root of 7. Don't forget the square root, okay? Or the plus and minus part, okay? When I type this one in, my x cubed, x squared, x, and my number, that's going to be 5, 0, -20, and 0, because I don't have those spots. Okay. Now I should be able to use the regular board Casio for this. All right. So I go back. All right. I go 5. I go 0. I go -20, and I go 0. Okay. And I hit solve. All right. So those are my 3 answers: x equals 2, x equals -2, or x equals 0, x equals -2. Okay. I've got three, so the possibilities can be 3. Okay? Same thing, I go into this. Let me go back. I'm going to type in 2. I'm going to type in 3. I'm going to type in -8. I'm going to type in 3. When I hit solve, this is what I get. Once again, if you want to create this into a fraction, okay, all right, that you can do it with your calculator. So that's going to be x equals 1, x equals 1/2, and x equals -3. Okay? Going on to the last one, number 10. Okay, same deal. I'm going to type in, going across, I'm going to type in 12. I'm going to type in -4. I'm going to type in -27. And I'm going to type in 9. And I solve that. Okay, once again, this 0.3 is a fraction, is 1/3. Okay, so I got x equals 3/2, x equals 1/3, and what's the last one here? X equals -3/2. Now, a little tip. If your calculator ever spits out this answer, let's say it says like 1 and 3, and you see a times 2. What that means is that means double root. Okay, if you ever see that? So your answers here would be x equals 1, x equals 3, x equals 3. Okay, so whichever it's lined up next to refers to the one that's going to be 2. Okay. If you go through that review, you should be fine for the test.